Summit last time. Who's to say it's not going to work again? I'm interested in where Croco's going to go, though, because this must have been a conscious decision to leave the Hecarim available. And they must have known that it was going to be picked, as now Summit's like, do I have to do it? Do I have to blind pick Gnar again? I'm so sick of winning all the time on this champion. Oh dear. As Croco's going to go back to his old favorite, it is, of course, the Olaf. I think this might force DRX's hand when it comes to an Orianna pickup.
Yeah.
We'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's a no.
Yeah, that doesn't make me super psyched. Is Kingan's going to run it back? Let's see whether we can do better this time around. And I do want to go back to a point that you made, as that's a Zoe. That's not an Orianna. But your point was bring out things that are off the wall, you know, some of the crazy picks. But I think that that's what you want to be doing in the playoffs. I don't think that you want to be doing that in this match that doesn't actually have any meaning or, you know, stand for anything when it comes to what we're going to be seeing in those playoffs. And I think it's time to be sort of hiding your strategies, but still having good games, right? Because you need that mentality boost.
And it's an interesting discussion there, because you can also argue that as opposed to showing away a couple of maybe your pocket picks, which I guess teams will already expect you to have, how much more value will it have if you're confident again going into that next match?
Yeah, true.
Like that's a trade-off that we obviously don't know. We don't have all the info. We don't know what picks they might be hiding. We don't know what the internal state of this team is. But those are the type of decisions that DRX, they need to make the right one, because in a worst-case scenario, I guess you do both. You go for your pocket picks, and then they also don't work, and you still keep losing, and then you're sad, and you have no more surprises. And that's
yeah.
a worst-case scenario. I'm very happy about the Tristana ban here. And this tells us that Liiv Sandbox prioritizes, even with the level of Ezreal that's available for Prince, they'd still rather go for something with the Kai'Sa. Probably a Nautilus is what it's looking like right now. I would not be surprised if they just pick up the Syndra for Fate, and then they go for the Nautilus, and it's not an interesting draft. It's a classic Liiv Sandbox draft. Play for early game, play for burst, and then just win the game from there. And there is the Syndra ban, so I'm happy about that at the very least.
Yeah, I think Prince should be locking away the Orianna here. That's what I would do if I was a coach on the side of Liiv Sandbox, but I am not, so it will be Twisted Fate. And Fate, of course, named after this champion, so he's going to pull out an old favorite. Saw Caps do it last night, or this morning, depending on which time zone you're in.
Twisted Fate is globally one of the higher priority champions, honestly. Not in the LCK. He has a 23% win rate, and
banned against T1 a fair bit when Faker's playing, but
True.
Outside of that, not quite as much, as that's Cogmore. And it's actually Xayah, so I take it all back.
I was so ready for the Cogmore Lulu.
Oh, it would have been fun.
Atlas, I was... That
not enough frontline for a Cogmore comp though, so I'm actually I'm okay with.
No, it's fine. You just kill them before they get to you, because you have Zoe and Jace as well. It's a foolproof plan.
Right,
There's no way that they ever get on top of you.
You call that comp like the Incinerator?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, or the Devastator. You know, It has to also like double as a wrestling nickname.
All right. I'm more good at like song names. That's what I've figured out. Not quite as good at the wrestling names.
If you don't release a song or an album called Discoing in the Chaos Storm sometime within the next year, I'm taking it, man. Like, I have no shame.
No, I'm down for that. Just sign me up for the first copy. You know?
There we go.
I definitely want to pre-order. Real down. As that's the Alistar's pretty understandable last lock-in here for effort. Back on it once again. We'll be able to start off these fights. A different look for the composition out of Liiv Sandbox. I feel like this Olaf Gnar are a little bit out of theme with what is happening elsewhere. However, there's some setup, especially if you have Mega Gnar on the top side, for Croco to come in and get some ganks down in the earlier stages. In fact, every lane has some pretty okay setup. So when it comes to getting the priorities around the lane and actually allowing Croco to pop off and get some kills early, this is a comp that could certainly do that. But some disjointedness out of DRX as well. I feel like they've been some eclectic drafts for both of these teams.
It's all over the place, because you have a part of your comp that just wants to dive in the Hecarim and the Leona. Then you have a part that wants to poke and possibly kite back, and in the Zoe and the Jace, and then Xayah kind of fits in the, kiting back composition, but then if that's what you want to go for, is the Leona really the call? Of course, the Hecarim in a vacuum is, I'd say, the strongest jungler in 11.5 at the moment, but as a whole, this feels like another team comp where if you don't win early, sure, theoretically you can make it work later on, but I would be afraid that you have exactly the same situation like you had last time, where regardless of the theory behind maybe we can find a great team fight late game with Xayah, maybe we can find the 100-0 blow up, you're just going to get run over by a Liiv Sandbox that are really scary. Now that they're a team that has not just been able to win the early game, but then also tempo the mid game, and then get the objectives, and then have an actual considerable lead. Not just Summit and Croco that have like 1 or 2 kills, which was the position we've seen them in so many a time. And normally I'd say, if this is game 1, you know, Prio on top side, you have the strongest jungler in the game, Solka. We've seen DRX pilot this Zoe and Jayce composition with really good expertise. It's all looking good. Yeah. Of course, the Xayah is a little bit weird, but if you think of it in the context of just leave her alone and like she'll scale, and then in team fight she can just do stuff. And
also the classic Xayah into Kai'Sa pickup
and
that we see so often.
And into an Olaf and a Twisted Fate. Both of which, honestly, will not be super happy about the fact that Thunderstorm is a thing, and the Clans is also gonna alleviate that issue a little bit further. But I think Liiv Sandbox, that Twisted Fate pick, is a stroke of genius after seeing the first game, because you go to yourself like, guys, we're just going to win the lanes again. Like, this is the form that we're on today. This is the form that they're on. We're going to win lanes. And if you have winning lanes and Twisted Fate stop making plays around the map and you snowball, game is just over.
And this is also a great comp to play the Kai'Sa with as well. Like, Twisted Fate sets up for Kai'Sa so beautifully as Killer Instinct and Destiny Gate. Pretty much just global duo attack, you know? It's like Abyssal Voyage that comes with a gold card. It's some real scary stuff, and some extra damage with the Acathian Rain. Becca taking a bit of damage here on the bottom side as Effort pops that Aftershock. And Pyosik just farming out his jungle under the wary eyes of Liiv Sandbox, who do have that ward right there. A little bit behind Croco's clear right now, as to be expected. We'll see what Croco's actually going to be able to do with it, as in the last game as well, he was able to pretty consistently out-tempo Pyosik around the map early. It's not something that we've said a lot. Pyosik, of course, sitting on 900 POG votes. Sky has been jungling very well, just not so much recently, and certainly not in the last game, as Fate misses out on the cannon minion. So maybe mid lane's over.
That must be it, yeah. That's generally how mid lanes go. As I'm wondering whether Pyosik went for the double Q. I don't think you necessarily want to go for early action here, pre-level 4, and getting 2 levels in your Rampage allows you to do a little bit more, clear the camps a little bit more efficiently, which you need in this matchup against the Olaf, because as you say, Croco just has full control. Due to the decided lack of prio on his top side, he's decided to just peace out, go to bot side, because there we have enough prio. More prio than a man could possibly want.
Well, we're doing some biffo here on the bottom side as Bao has to cleanse. Oh my goodness, he takes so much damage as Becca's still chasing after Prince. They think that they have an opportunity to do this as Becca gets exhausted at just the right time. Tries to get on back. The flash over Prince is going to be taken. An Effort steals away the first blood. It's a 1-for-1 in the end as now Becca's trying desperately to get out of this one. And you can see Effort, he's lining up the headbutt, wanting to deny this. And oh dear.
That was not how that was supposed to go.
Yeah, that ain't it. He was waiting. He wanted to give it to Croco.
Yeah.
And then it was like the position.
I don't actually, to be completely fair, I don't think he kills Becca in the 1v1 there. But I do feel like just going on top of Becca and then trying to go from there would have been a little bit better. Was not what he went for. He went for the high risk play. Yeah. And the risk did not pay off, and now he looks a little bit silly.
Yeah, that was slightly unfortunate. Yep. 1-for-1 though on the bottom side of the map, and both of our attack damage carries picking up assists. So as it, as the dust settles, actually going to be relatively even for both of these squads. DRX with a slight advantage as far as gold here, as Prince having to stand up in this lane a little bit further than he otherwise want, as the denial of the cannon minion. Yep, it is going to be taken away here. Jonah Strong, of course, always well in tune with whether or not cannon minions are going to be picked up or go to waste.
We talk about objectives, but do we really talk enough about cannon minions?
Yes. Yes, we do. I think that we always talk about cannon minions.
It's, you know what the thing is? normal minions, there's too many of them, so you don't really get attached to them as much, and they don't have as much, not just monetary value, but also, you know, cannon minion allows you
like character progression. You don't have enough in the rest of the minions because it's like stormtroopers.
Exactly.
You know, it's less fun.
Not just that, but I feel like, you know, cannon minion, you can rely on them. You know they're trustworthy. If you go back and your lane gets shoved in, and there's an enemy cannon there, they can't go back.
It's true.
And you're good. Whereas a normal minion, they just all get taken down by the turret, and then you're just sitting there and you feel sad, and you say to yourself, what if all minions were cannons? Can you imagine?
Whoa.
I know.
Lanes would take a long time.
I don't think it would be good for the game, but this is... Can we have that for
maybe we could ask... We could send an email. We could send an email. It's like, can we have an all cannon minions game mode? And every single game is actually, like, if you go to spectate it, they're all observed by Jonah Strong, who watches every cannon minion die.
You don't get how he does it, but he finds a way.
Oh, yes. We've found a way to clone him, because he's so important to us at the LCK. As Pyoshik, he's looking for Croco. Let's see whether he can get that devastating charge to work. Doesn't really. As Croco, level 5, not going to be able to Ragnarok, but is going to be able to blast cone his way out. And sometimes you just trade ghosts.
Yeah, nothing else happens.
Yeah.
So back to cannon minions. No, I'm joking. I think that a super slow and steady game state actually favors DRX to a certain extent. I think that once they hit their one-item spikes, I would still like them to see them take a lot of action, because in terms of side laning pressure, Liiv Sandbox are very scary. Okay, that's...
This is what the matchup was supposed to look like last time.
It was. The problem is, though, that even though King he finds a really nice trade there, fact of the matter is that Summit now is going to stack armor, right? He already has his plated steel caps, and that, while the matchup is still not great, it does make it much more manageable, especially because the lead that King has been able to build up is not super threatening, or like we've seen like 30-40 CS leads with a kill or two, and in that scenario it's going to be really hard for you to actually get anything done. And that it's not the case here, but at the very least it's going a lot more, as you say, like how the matchup is supposed to go. This is the counter pick. Last time they got no value for this. This time DRX, they find a minute early game lead, and if you can get those leads on Sulkai and Kingen, it's going to make every single play for objectives a lot more valuable. And this might be the last game of the regular split, and I appreciate that we have been given a relevant soul.
Yeah, we
don't know which one yet.
The clouds are already on the board. I got a little bit ahead of myself in this particular match. It was because we didn't have any clouds last game, so I wanted to guarantee that even if no one took a Drake all game long, we would at least have a cloud Drake on the Rift. It was important to me as Kingen comes back. Now looking for Summit. Pyoshik's here as well with the same idea. There's the Onslaught of Shadows, devastating charge to bring him back, and no empowerment needed when it comes to that shock blast. That was a very dead Gnar.
Nothing you can do there. Very straightforward. If Summit has the Mega Gnar available, you might be fine, but Pyoshik times his gank very, very well. Able to path up towards topside, find the kill, and Summit, a little bit unfortunate because you can kind of expect a rotation. DRX have been super diligent about going towards this top side and contesting this Herald, and this is looking like a much better early game here. And Liiv Sandbox, their comp can still do okay in the mid game, but you do need to start using your Twisted Fate, right?
Yeah.
You start need to picking up objectives, because they should be able to get the Drake here, and hopefully for Summit he's also able to keep his objective above 2 plates. Because otherwise, this game might snowball out of the control fairly quickly, because they do not play super well from behind. This is a close-range team composition that wants to all-in you, that wants to get in your face.
Yeah, they want the skirmishes early, right? It's very, very hard when you Destiny onto someone and then they kill you. And theoretically in a 1v2 as well, as Prince and Fate probably want to be getting things done together. Does mean that Summit is on more of an island than he otherwise wants to be, and after that pick on the top side of the map, you saw how many minions got denied. The entire time that Rift Herald was being taken, minions were dying on the top side of the map. As we do have a blue buff now picked up by Fate. He's got the Ignite as well, so he's ready. Sulka also. Both of these spell books well and truly unsealed. As the wildcards starting to do a fair bit of work when it comes to clearing out these waves. And So not exactly the end of the world. And despite missing that cannon creep relatively early on, oh, okay, perfect. No worries, says Fate. I managed to get my cannon and my caster minion, and therefore you can sleep me all you like.
It's all that matters, you know? And when push comes to shove, gotta look back on your life and ask yourself, did I get the cannon minion? And in this case, the answer for Fate is yes.
Exactly. This is what we've come to learn. I can't believe it took us an entire split to figure out that this is actually League of Siege minion. And that's all that we actually need to worry about, as Fate will find a control ward. Once again, wins the mind game this time, as there's the headbutt pole out from Effort, but no one else actually wanting to get over that wall. No flashes or anything like that, as Solka still had his flash available. And it just would have meant that they'd have to give that one away before a potential skirmish, as there's no Herald to fight for, and we've got 3 minutes and 20 on this Ocean Drake. It's going to be the Infernal or the Mountain Soul this time around. Not words that I'm used to speaking. And Summit up here now having some control, but Kingen intelligently understands the rest of this map and won't try to push forward any further.
I feel like we might be in for a long one here, Atlas. I don't think the pace of this game is going to rapidly accelerate in the near future.
Danger. It's not like both of these teams have scaling comps necessarily, but I think if this is going to keep going and going and going, I'd probably give it to DRX with the champions that they have. I just look at Olaf and Gnar, and even Twisted Fate, right, who, unless he gets, you know, ridiculously fed, doesn't necessarily do oodles of damage as the game goes on.
I think the win condition that you can look towards, though, is LoL Sandbox if you never ever fight. And you have Fate and Summit both in the side lane, and Fate at the very least can just go even, clear waves, and like put pressure, and then maybe look for a play towards either side. You have Kaisa who can kind of hide in the jungle and look for plays. As you said already, very good setup, both with Summit and Fate.
Yep.
And I would not mind to see Summit go for a more split push oriented build in this game. Like specifically just to enable that. You also have an initial Drake, which makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, Bubble going to connect onto Fate there, but no follow-up. Solka also just ignoring a few of these guys. Is Summit now trying to fight back against Kingen, as you can see. Looking for that Narbar to fill up, as Pioshik says, all right, you guys are going to play like that. I'm going to turn up. Let's not going to be looking for any dives, I don't think. It's just going to be some plates taken down here as Pioshik moving on by. Will actually spot Summit out here with the sweeper. Comes on over. You can see actually teleport comes back for Kingen, and it's all the plate gold going over to Pioshik. Interesting. I would have liked to see the Jace get a little bit more money there.
I agree. I think that Jace used it very well. Now, of course, Hacker Aim is really, really strong, but still...
Yeah, Hop comes out. Croco looking for his opportunity. No Destiny actually utilized yet. It's 13.5 minutes into the game, as there's the onslaught of shadows. Summit flashes out of the way, and finally, the Destiny comes in. He waited for the opportune moment, and will be able to lock down that kill. Great interruption here on the bottom side, as Effort says no to the Zenith Blade. And DRX are going to have to stop that aggression as well.
You gotta imagine that was a bait from Fate there, because it felt like Pioshik knew he was playing around that Destiny, he was going in and out, and then it wasn't used initially. Must have been like, okay, he mustn't be here, right? Because they didn't have full vision of where Fate was. Maybe your own bet.
That's just a 1v2 solo kill for Kingen, as maybe just didn't expect that Kingen was going to do that. It's a bit of a silly Billy play. Yeah. I agree. The speechlessness thing, as Fate not going to be hit by that Paddle Star, but is going to be forced out of the lane.
I'm going to need some time on that one.
Yeah. That's like, you know, Fate comes up and tries to save his lane, and then Summit's like, no. You're going to need to do better than that, because look.
But that's first turret blood as well, so that's actually super, super big. Croco has Ghost, almost has Ragnarok available.
Yeah, there's the back. Maybe suboptimal timing, was wanting to make sure that Effort turned up as the Shock Blast now on cooldown. Chilling Smite comes in. There's the exhaust. Headbutt, just trying to make sure we have as much CC as possible. And, okay, we'll see whether this Undertow is going to connect. It does not. Need to get a bigger arm on that one, and they do turn away. Kingen will survive.
No Destiny Gate available for Fate, so he can join this play, and now to punish.
Yeah, Solar Flare towards the bottom side is now Summit once again going to be fallen down. Turret and safety, not two words that we are going to put in the same sentence anymore for Summit.
This is looking a lot more like the traditional Nara experience that we're used to here in the LCK, where you blind pick not and then this happens, and obviously it's not just that, it's that DRX actually find a really nice cross-map play, and I'm not loving the sheer amount of attention that's being put here on top of the DRX top side by Liiv Sandbox, because you lose a Drake, you trade not even 1-for-1, because you don't kill King, and in the very end you use a lot of resources, you rotate a lot of people up towards top. It's not great.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. We are going to have a look at the great, I guess, patience from Fate to wait until the onslaught of shadows. Kershik, no option other than to die. But then this was the big old whoopsie.
It was really well played by King, and it's he hits all his skills, and you feel the safety from the turret. This is as free as it gets. Just the CC chain. You know the enemy jungler isn't there.
Yeah,
the only one who,
well,
yeah, there's no Destiny Gate. The only one who can teleport is Summit himself, so he dead. And
Crocker takes a lot of free damage.
Atlas,
Yes, man.
you know what this is feeling like, right? I feel like might not just be done with.
Look, I am sharing your feelings. I actually felt it in my waters as
You
I
did.
sat down
You
at the
said
desk.
it.
I felt that maybe we just haven't seen the last of this particular series, and not of DRX either, who have something to prove moving into this game. I like that Kingen, you know, he does the salty run back. Not feeling as salty now. He's the one with the 30 CS advantage. Eclipse already completed. Looking for that Neuramana transformation. Ain't gonna be over until the, you know, the fat lady sings, as they say. However, a much better setup here for DRX, and a much more difficult game for Liiv Sandbox to find their way back into, just given what their composition wants to be doing, right? As that's a reset. And that's going to mean that maybe Solka's going to be able to collect this blue buff. Liiv Sandbox could have actually watched this entire thing ensue, as they do have that ward that Kershik is just playing on.
Yeah, because a low-tempo game like this means that DRX, they've now hit their initial item spikes. We see the Eclipse on Kingen. Already seen the amount of damage they can do. Once Neuramana gets finished, it's going to get even worse. The setup is still really good. Liiv Sandbox still can definitely find a single target, 100 to 0 them, and then go from there. But as a whole, this is feeling like a classic LCK game, and that's good for DRX.
No, Summit gets the bad news, maybe a little bit late, but does have the fadeaway boomerang, so he's going to be all right. The rest of Liiv Sandbox just milling about in the river, and they do still have, you know, one of these Drakes that was picked up. DRX managed to answer with that Ocean, as we do have the option of a triple Mountain Soul for both of our teams. Still a long way off in the distance when it comes to that one.
You know what would have been really good here to make your lives a lot easier as Liiv Sandbox? A
Cloud
character that Prince could play, that could be left alone so that, you know, Effort can make more plays around the map.
I don't think they had that. That doesn't exist in League of Legends, I don't think. No, Ezreal was disabled after the last match.
Because it was, yeah.
He was taken away, taken off the board.
Because of Prince.
Illegal. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
that's a hip reference.
Yep.
Watching a lot of LEC, I assume.
I have been watching a bit of LEC.
A bit.
Yeah.
It's good, you know. It's fun to watch the other regions.
I was actually I was having a lot of fun watching last night, because I've been a Score fan for a long time, and he gets made fun of for his smites a lot. And to know that there are other teams in the world that also struggle with that is pretty cool. As Fate's going to get ganked and will be taken down. Takes him a little while, as you can see the Olaf trying to do what he can as well. Summit's going to turn up to join the party, but it's not the party that he wanted to go to. He should have definitely opted out. No RSVP should have come through there. The Nara's just going to add to the cake. And Liiv Sandbox, they push out the mid lane, but otherwise it's just kills being thrown over towards DRX.
And DRX, they're all business. They're not messing around. You can see the cams. They want to keep control of the game. They want to snowball this lead. They need to pick up the Drake. They need to keep fighting like this, picking out single targets, winning these small skirmishes, not allowing people like Fate to make a play. And as long as they keep doing that with the lead that they're already secured for themselves, they're looking completely fine. And
Okay, we're looking for the option as Fate going to take a lot of damage, but he does get stunned up. This is the combo that we were talking about, and that is going to be comfortably secured. So, Liiv Sandbox, they demonstrate what their composition is designed to do. Maybe, probably about 10 minutes too late.
It is, but that might lead to them being able to contest the Drake here. And that's actually an interesting situation because DRX, yet again, this is not as bad as the Ocean Soul, but a Cloud Soul is still not very nice for your composition. Your Jace and your Zoe are going to be very sad when your opponent has more resources.
I like that you say Cloud Soul, even though it's a Mountain Soul.
There we go. Oh my god, yeah. I blame that one on you, honestly.
No, it's absolutely fine. This is part of my legacy, and I very much enjoy it. As Becca takes a little bit of damage, not going to be able to take down that control ward right there. It's 3 seconds until Kingen, but the Drake is live. Croco's still trying to farm this one out. He's behind Pyosik by quite a lot.
Yeah, they can't play this straight up. They need to find an angle.
Oh, good wards in this brush as Pyosik not going to find the devastating charge just yet. Ulti at the ready, no ghost.
I think you just leave it there as Liiv Sandbox. If you're not able to turn up early pick on top side, which is understandable, right? You need to get to the other end of the map. The timing doesn't really work out. You're just not going to ever make it work. You can't straight up 5v5. You need to go for the hit and run. You need to find specific opportunities and go from there, as we see here. Yeah, I don't know. Summit doesn't actually have the Magnar available, not in a position at all to fight. And I get the idea from Liiv Sandbox to try and like capitalize on something, but this is who you should be looking for, right? Individual players in side lanes. Just throw out a Destiny, see if you can gate towards someone, and then immediately the Kaiser comes in. Prince now level 2 on the Killer Instinct, so these type of plays are going to be available to you more and more. But then it's the problem, how do you actually bait that out of Liiv Sandbox is by putting people in side lanes. And what has been happening to Summit every time he gets put in the side lane? He gets run over by an angry horse.
And it also doesn't matter whether there's a turret there or not. You can see bottom side vision now actually claimed for Liiv Sandbox, but unfortunately weren't able to collect the Mountain Drake. As you can see on your screen, DRX were able to secure it. So still a case of Olaf behind early. Does he ever do anything this game that's actually relevant? It's going to be a really difficult battle.
Yes, if he has Seraphine, which is not in this game, so...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. Solar Flare is going to connect. Pop goes the Gnar once again. It was Gnar domination in game 1. Now he's just being dominated as Croco is going to get booped over his wall. And the inner turret now going to fall down. This is turning into a extraordinarily one-sided affair for DRX as they move back towards the Baron. They have vision for days. And Liiv Sandbox's map on this top side is so dark. Destiny, it's going to help them when you need vision. Certainly a good ability. However, what's the answer? What are you supposed to do here? No teleport on Summit who's respawning in 7 seconds. Fate does find himself a flank angle, but it's 4v5. And the 5 has more money than you by a considerable margin. DRX definitely not wanting to throw at this point, as Croco doesn't exactly have the flash. As in goes Pyosik, looks for this one more time. Pyosik does get popped. It's Prince that grabs the kill. He's still at full health. The low health bars of DRX, they've been tanking the Baron and they didn't want to. The Zoe will be taken down. Becca will get executed as well. Is this the throw? Have DRX done it? I don't know whether it is. It's certainly not a good sign.
That's terrible for DRX here, Atlas. And as you were saying, it was the Baron that was just shredding through them. While Liiv Sandbox, sure, they don't have 4 people there, but they have a 5th and 6th one in the form of the Baron. Baron King need to make it work here.
Yeah, Summit makes it to Mega Gnar, does it just in time as Croco secures the Baron. Now still trying to look for something, but there's a crush to get this Gnar over the wall. It's only 2,000 gold to lead, and that's only going to extend as the Baron is used around this map. There's still an outer turret in the mid lane. Kingen, oh dear, Effort's going to turn up.
Don't risk it. Ooh. Very good. Oh god.
Yeah. You can see now, Solka coming on in, finds the bubble onto Effort. He's going to immediately use his ultimate. Everfrost's traded on both sides. Looks like Liiv Sandbox should be able to find their way out. And the accelerated shock blast ain't going to do it. All 5 members with a Baron outside of Effort.
Operation Get That Baron Out Alive is a huge success. And we talked about what does Liiv Sandbox want to do. They want a side lane.
Yeah.
How can you side lane if you don't have winning matchups? Easy peasy. Just find the Baron somehow and
allow your opponent's
Yes.
to do most of the work on a Baron, take too much damage from it, then kill them and take the Baron. That's how you do it?
It is an elaborate plan.
I mean, the plots to Ocean's 11 and the Ocean's... all the Ocean series got worse and worse and worse. I guess it makes sense that Ocean's, like, what is it, 15 now, is one of these, as this is the storyline relived once again.
It's honestly, it's just Baron and Effort knock up.
Oh
my
so
god. And then you see that Prince is just moving around with impunity here in this fight. All the damage that DRX do have, and they do have considerable amounts of it, has just been thrown into Effort, who is completely okay with that, doesn't mind that whatsoever. And that creates a situation in which the carries for Liiv Sandbox just need to work against the clock, right? And that should not have happened. I don't think that this is actually the nail in the coffin, but what I'm worried about is this might feel like a nail in the coffin moment for DRX. This might be where you're like, oh,
yeah, the mentality problem once again. No, I agree. It is dangerous.
That's what I'm worried about.
Well, now you've also got Fate, who has a considerable advantage in that mid lane as well. 3 items completed, Lich Bane as well as his Zhonya's, and he's parked that minion wave in that top lane, and they're all just... Thank you so much, Jonas Strong. Comes back right as the Siege minion is dying as well. I told you, he's a cannon whisperer. He knows exactly what's going on. As you can see, Destiny gives all of the information over to Liiv Sandbox. And now, there's going to be a fight around this river. Effort looking for the opportunity. Hep up hold. They want to take down the Zoe. They do so very comfortably. Summit! He was smashed all game, but finds a huge ulti into the backline. Bao, though, still finding the damage. Fate wants a little bit more here, as it's a triple kill for the horse. Pioshik has come alive. That's the Quadra. Could he be locking down the Penta? You betcha he is. Goodbye, Fate. And hello to a potential Game 3, as that is the Pioshik pentakill.
It's the hero moment that DRX were looking for. Sure, that Baron play didn't work out, but if you lose that fight right there, I think that's going to be the end of it. And it looked so close as well. The damage comes through, but the disadvantage for Liiv Sandbox in terms of composition, in terms of gold, in terms of items at this point in the game is simply too much. They can't make it work. The stalling from Bao's Featherstorm is enough. And then Pioshik says, hello, and thank you very much.
Yeah. That's all over. I don't know what they were doing, trying to group up in the river, though. That's not what this composition is built to do. Effort goes for a hero play once again, but the pole landing onto only one is absolutely not what you're looking for.
It is actually Pioshik that hard carries this fight, because what happens is Summit goes in, and he finds the backline. King and Bao smashed into the wall. But because of that fear, because of Pioshik zoning out the Twisted Fate, as well as the Kai'Sa, there's no ultimate. The Killer Instinct can't come through immediately, and because of that, no one actually dies. And Pioshik, he's tanky enough. This is no problem whatsoever from him, and he finds every single cleanup kill that he needs to. And you can look at that and go like, oh, that's a tank hacker. I mean, he just finds the penta. Yes, but that onslaught of shadows means that Summit's play doesn't work out, and means that you don't lose the game, or otherwise you very well could have.
Well, not over just yet, however, DRX do manage to wrestle back some control. It's, you know, trumpets are starting to get warmed up. I can hear some tuning, absolutely. As Summit on this inner turret will be able to take this one. Top lane inner also has taken considerable hurt. So the gold, not exactly a terrible story right now.
Does a teleport. So Summit's, I'm pretty sure Summit's dead. We don't see it yet. There's a bit of a delay. Oh, no, never mind. That'll do it.
Teleport out. Okay, that'll keep him alive. As Destiny, just to make sure.
Just double checking.
It's going to spot exactly the location of everyone on the side of DRX. Does mean that Fate knows that he is safe to push out this this top wave. And I want to see Liiv Sandbox actually play side lanes instead of trying to group up and denying these Drakes, but unfortunately now, they almost have to fight for the next one. I mean, Mountain Soul with Pioshik as massive as he is, as he looks towards the back line. Maybe he's a bit too far away. Decent pole, but goodbye, Prince. And Becca will try and jump on top of the rest of the Liiv Sandbox members who are now scattering that side lane play that we were talking about. Absolutely what they're trying to do, because Twisted Fate absolutely nowhere in sight. And DRX, they're looking to push down this mid lane. They'll take the inhibitor, see whether they actually look for more, as the rest of Liiv Sandbox now sands their Kai'Sa, looking to attempt to defend as in goes Becca, explodes the Olaf as now Pioshik wanting to get some more work done. Another Pulve only lands onto one, 3-man solar flare is beautiful as Everfrost is going to stop Fate in his tracks. Bao grabs the double kill, and this will be the end of the game. DRX will make sure that the final series of Spring 2021 goes the distance. And this might be the redemption that they were looking for, but at least they stick to the DRX way.